Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kim Calbanuelos Castillo. And first of all, I want to apologize for not being able to report physically today due to an important event that I needed to attend. I can only provide a video report to make up for my absence. Thank you for understanding. So now, let us proceed to my report. My report is all about curriculum development. Curriculum development refers to the process of designing and creating an educational curriculum. It involves the systematic planning, organization, and implementation of a set of learning experiences, activities, and materials that aims to achieve specific educational goals and objectives. So in other words, curriculum development is about making or creating a learning experiences or activities in order to achieve the schools or the institution's objectives, or what the schools or institution wants for his students to achieve. Curriculum development models has three categories. First is linear models of curriculum development. Second is dynamic models of curriculum development. Next is cyclical model of curriculum development. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to first analyze different curriculum models, second, examine strengths and weaknesses of curriculum, and third, discuss how these curriculum development models can be applied in the Philippine context. Earlier, I've mentioned that there are three categories of curriculum model. First is the linear models of curriculum development. Linear model are type of curriculum development approach that follows a sequential and rational step-by-step process. These models propose a structured framework for designing and implementing a curriculum, with a clear focus on defining objectives and following a logical progression. So, when we say linear, we are just only following one path lang. One path, so dapat na siya step-by-step procedure nga atong sundon when we say linear model. So, in linear model, we have to kanang mag-start ta sa objectives. Objective meaning what is your purpose, what is the purpose of the school or the institution. Dapat pinakauna dyan na siya sa step in making a linear model. So part of linear model of curriculum development is Tyler's rational linear model. Ralph Tyler developed the first model of curriculum development. This model was presented in his book Principles of Curriculum and Instruction, published in 1947. Tyler argued that curriculum development should be logical and systematic. Tyler's model, emphasizing the planning stage and the importance of planning in creating a curriculum. Tyler's model is deductive, top to bottom, meaning general to specific, because Tyler believed that the administrator should be the one who create or design the curriculum, and the teachers are the implementers of such curriculum. Tyler argued that to develop any curriculum, curriculum workers should respond to four basic questions. First is, what educational purposes should the school seek to attain, or the objectives? Next is, what educational experiences are likely to attain these objectives? Third, how can these educational experiences be organized? And the fourth one is, how can we determine whether these purposes are being attained, or the evaluation? Let us now discuss each of the four questions. Let's start with the first. What educational purposes should the school seek to attain, or selecting the objectives? It is about determining what the school's purpose, or what the school wants for his graduate, for his students. For example, the school wants first graduate to have to be critical thinkers. So the institution or the school create the objectives muna ilahang gusto mahitabo or gusto nila nga dapat naa sa ilahang mga estudyante. That is the objective. Unsa imong gusto, kung unsay gusto sa school or sa institution para sa ilahang mga estudyante. For example, here sa Moncas, ang ato ang goal is to produce a kaning competitive, highly competitive students. So that is the objectives of the school. Na-mention ako earlier na sa Tyler's model is the teacher is just the implementer of the curriculum. So if you are a teacher and the objectives of your school or the institution is to provide the students or graduates na critical thinkers, so you as teacher dapat maghimo ka og activities or learning experiences na in order to enhance or makuan jud ang higher order thinking skills sa mga estudyante. Dapat tagaan nimo sila mga problem solving na makuan jud ilahang critical thinking. Second question, what educational experiences are likely to attain these objectives? So, selecting learning experiences. What learning experiences or what activities should you craft in order to attain the objectives, or what unsay gusto sa school sa iyang mga student? So again, if the school or the institution's objectives is to have a kanang students where is kanang research oriented na mga students, so imuhang learning experiences dapat is related sa kung unsa imuhang objectives, kung unsa gusto sa school. So dapat imuhang buhaton nga learning experiences is i-train nimo sila unsaon paghimog research, unsaon pagpangita og mga reliable nga kanang mga links or mga article na ma-train jud ilahang kanang skills unsaon pagbuhat og mga research. So in other words, in question number 2 or selecting learning experiences is about what the school must do in order to attain the objectives or what the school or institution wants for his student. So the third question is, how can these educational experiences be organized, or the organizing learning experiences? It should be from simple to complicated, or mag-start sila sa complicated to down to the simpler one. Nagdepende ra na sa kung unsaon sa school or sa institution pag-handle ang ilang mga learning experiences. Depende po siya sa capacity sa students nila. So again, there sa Tyler model is the administrator jud ang mag-design sa curriculum and the teachers just follow lang or mag-implement lang sa curriculum. And the last one is, how can we determine whether these purposes are being attained, or the evaluation? So diri sa evaluation, mag-ano na ka if na-achieve ba sa mga students ang objectives or ang gusto sa school. For example, again, if the school wants for his graduates or for his students na mga critical thinkers, if at the end of the semester, if kanang mag-quiz sila or maghatag og activities or kanang kanang kuan gani, i-evaluate ilahang work, if dili siya effective, so dapat ang school is ilahan ang mitingan, ilahang pangitaan og way or another learning experiences para ma-enhance pa jud ang skills sa mga students. So next model that still includes in linear model is Taba's grassroots rational model. Hilda Taba presented her model in her book Curriculum Development, The Theory and Practice in 1962. Her model is a modified version of Tyler's model. Taba argued that curriculum development should follow a sequential and logical process, and she suggested for more information input in all phases of curriculum development. Taba also claimed that all curricula are composed of fundamental elements. So again, na belong siya sa linear curriculum model because Taba argued na dapat if we are going to create a curriculum, dapat magsunod jud siya og sequence. Na jud tay ginasunod na sequence. So here sa model ni Hilda Taba, kabaliktaran siya sa kay Tyler, which is the administrator jud ang maghimo sa curriculum. Ang teachers is the implementer. But kay Taba is dapat ang teacher is involved siya in making the curriculum because ang teacher may mas nakabalo sa students, kabalo sa iyang student, siya man ang kauban sa student, siya man ang nagtudlo sa student. So dapat involved si teacher in making the curriculum. So here are the fundamental elements, 7 steps that we should be followed when developing a curriculum. First, diagnosis of needs. Second, formation of objectives. Third, selection of content. Fourth, organization of content. Selection of learning experiences. Organization of learning experiences. Determination of what to evaluate and ways and means of doing it. So the first one is diagnosis of needs. We have to diagnose what are the students' need. We have to know their strength and weaknesses or their ability or capability para mas mapadali nato og buhat og curriculum or learning styles para mas mapadali ang ato ang pagtudlo sa mga student. So after we diagnose the student's need, let us now formulate the objectives. Dapat related siya sa student's need. Next is the selection of content. So when creating a content, dapat relevant siya sa imong objectives. Dili pwede nga maghimo ka og content nga layo ra kayo sa imong gusto o gusto sa school or gusto sa imong students. Next is the organization of content. How will you going to organize your content? How will you teach? How will you teach your students? Next is the selection of learning experiences. What activities or what learning activities will you use para mas mapa-enhance pa, mas mapadali imuhang pagtudlo, para mas madali masabtan, and also dapat imuhang learning experiences is related siya sa content sa imuhang gitudlo. And the last one is determination of what to evaluate and ways and means of doing it. So, ikaw as a teacher, dapat, if you're going to make an activity, dapat naa kay rubrics nga sundon sa teacher o sundon sa students para guided mo kung unsay dapat nga buhaton. The next one still includes in linear model is the standard-based curriculum development model. Was developed by Alan Gawthorne. The model was intended for developing curriculum standards from any discipline from basic education to higher education. Gawthorne identified 3 phases to be followed in developing a standard-based curriculum. Standard-based curriculum development model is quite different from Tyler and Taba's model. From the word standard-based, the focus of this model is on the development of the standards, developing standard. So when we say standard in a context of curriculum, it is typically referring to a guidelines or expectations that the students should know in that specific or particular subject area. The 3 phases to be followed in developing a standard-based curriculum according to Gawthorne are Phase 1, develop standards. Phase 2, develop benchmarks. And Phase 3, develop final products. Phase 1, develop standards. First is develop a comprehensive set of content standards using a multiple sources. So, stakeholders or educators gather information from multiple sources such as research or international or national input, or even educators input to. And after they gather information, they analyze and synthesize the information na need na ma-acquire sa mga students. Next is refine the comprehensive list by eliminating and combining. So, from the initial standard na katong ilahang na-gather, pwede nila eliminate ang some information and also i-combine nila ang mga information in order for them to create a standard na suit sa mga estudyante. Next is secure teacher input to identify teacher priorities. Of course, akong na-mention ganina na importante jud ang input sa teacher because sila ang mas nakabalo sa mga students kay sila man ang nag-teach, sila ang kauban sa mga students. And the last one is use data to develop final draft of standards divided into essential standards and enrichment standards. So, after na nag-gather og information from different sources and nag-eliminate na sila og nag-combined and also nag-add na pod og information si teacher, so ang final draft is kanang muna jud ilang final decision kung unsa ang ilahang mga to ilang standards. So, it is divided into two, essential standards and enrichment standards. Essential standard is the core knowledge or skills that the students must master, and the enrichment standard is na kanang kailangan nila i-improve or mga information or knowledge na kailangan pa nila or i-advance pa nila og learn. So, next phase is Phase 2, develop benchmarks. 1. Review decisions about content emphasis. Identify standards for continuing development. Decide how benchmark will be identified by task force or by teachers. Develop initial draft of benchmark evaluating with criteria provided and secure teacher review. Revise benchmark if needed. So, develop benchmark are standards that are set by others or other schools or institutions which we can adopt, which we can pattern our standards to. It's like looking at the standards from one prestigious school and knowing and understanding their standards and using that to develop our own standards or to further improve our own set of standards. And the last phase is develop final products. Use standard and benchmarks to provide the scope and sequence chart. Decide on curriculum guide content. Analyze benchmark into learning objectives. So, meaning we are now finalizing all the standards and benchmark that we made from the phase 1 and the phase 2. It is about final decision na siya, or final outcome. And the last model that includes in the linear model is the Understanding by Design model, or UBD. Was developed by Wiggins and McTighe, 2022. It has become a byword in the Philippine educational system because it was used to design the current basic education curriculum. As of school year 2010 to 2011, first year and second year high school are using UBD. This model, also called backward design, from putting emphasis on starting with the goals and objectives in designing a curriculum. And here are the illustration. Stage 1, identify desired result. Stage 2, determine acceptable evidence. Stage 3, plan the learning experiences and instruction. So, dirian na model is lahi siya because ang evaluation is done before planning the learning experiences and activities. Stage 1, identify desired result. So, it indicates what the students should learn, should know, understand, or to be able to do at the end of the school year or at the end of the semester. Stage 2, determine acceptable evidence. Pwede ka magpa-assessment, no? Magpa-quiz para makita nimo if na-achieve ba ang imong desired learning para sa imong students. Stage 3, plan the learning experiences and instruction. So, diri pa ka mag-plan og unsa imong learning experiences or activities nga imong i-craft para ma-meet or ma-achieve nimo ang imong desired learning para sa imong students. So, nabansin ba ninyo nga baliktad ang ihang process? Naguna siya sa kanang kung unsa ihang gusto mahitabo before siya nagplano kung unsa ang iyang buhaton. That ends my report, and the rest will be discussed by my group mates. Thank you for listening.